You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, Doge, and more. Cryptocurrencies and digital assets are taking the financial world by storm. This exploding market provides everything a savvy trader needs: volatility, volume, and liquidity, provided you know how to find it. That's where we come in. Welcome to the Crypto Rundown. Each week, we'll break down the latest trading activity, trends, and developments throughout the world's leading crypto derivatives markets. If it's moving the crypto markets, then you'll find it on the Crypto Rundown. The Crypto Rundown is brought to you by Amber Data. If you're entering the digital asset class, you'll need access to granular on-chain and market data from multiple venues to power research, trading, risk management, and compliance. Amber Data delivers comprehensive data and insights into blockchain networks, crypto markets, and decentralized finance, empowering financial institutions to apply traditional finance methods to digital assets. Amber Data eliminates the infrastructure setup, integration challenges, and maintenance headaches to access digital asset data, reducing cost and time to market to enter the digital asset class. Learn more and download their digital asset data guide at www.amberdata.io. Now it's time to dive into the exploding world of crypto derivatives. It's time for the Crypto Rundown.
All right, everybody. That music means it is time once again to explore everything going on in the world of crypto derivatives. Yep, it is time for the Crypto Rundown. My name is Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the ever scintillating, at least we tend to think so around these parts, Options Insider Radio Network. Reminding you a couple of things. Hey, if you like what you hear, do go ahead and rate it and review it on whatever platform you're getting the show on. It does help new people continue to discover what I tend to think of as the new addition, the new kid on the block here at the network, even though it's been running for years now. Our network goes back a ways, 16 plus years now, listeners, which is just crazy, Tom. And of course, if you want even more in your lives, and hey, who can blame you? And head on over to theoptionsinsider.com/pro. is the place to go. A lot of great guests on our pro Q&As, which you folks get exclusively on the pro side, including a lot of great crypto guests, and more to come on that front, as well as Options Oddities, as well as all the other exclusive hundreds of episodes we put up on that feed for you folks to enjoy, as well as, of course, giveaways, live access to everything else we do on the network, and a whole bunch more. All sorts of fun. theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go. As we keep on going into our first segment, it is time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
It's time to explore the latest trending activity, trends, and developments across the world's leading crypto market. It's time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Bitcoin Breakdown, the portion of the show where we break down everything going on in the world's leading digital asset. Yep, we're talking about the big dog, which is Bitcoin, a little bit smaller coming into the start of the show than it was this time last week. Of course, have seen a lot of red on most of the major markets, most of the major asset classes over the course of the past week. Today, notwithstanding, things rallying a little bit out there today. But net Bitcoin coming into showtime off nearly 1,500 handles from where it was this time last week. We were 21,579 on our show last week coming into this show. 23,018 on our last show last week. 21,579 when we kicked off the show here today. So not quite 1,500 handles, pretty close to about 1,440 handles to the dark side. Of course, had a little bit of a range out there. After our last show last week, we hit the high for the week on Tuesday. That was 23,326. So we did surge past the 23,000 level for about another day or so before the red started kicking in. Of course, the Fed and everything else conspiring to drag us down there last week. The low actually came today, right before showtime, 21,473. So we have rallied a little bit, like I said, out there today. In terms of vol, we are seeing a Bitcoin vol at least continue to erode. It has been eroding for the better part of the last few weeks. That continues this week. Last show, we were 52 and a quarter. Coming into today's show, 47.75. So down about 4.5 handles on the week. So sub 50 vol for Bitcoin. That's getting a little bit low out there. We'll keep an eye on that, see how things continue. Of course, if we keep hanging out at around these levels for a while, we could expect that vol to continue to come in. But if past is prologue with Bitcoin, probably would expect that vol to kick up again sometime in the near future. Let's look at the SKEW, see what's going on there. Again, we're seeing the trends we've seen over the past couple of weeks continue, but nothing aggressive. The SKEW last week had swung slightly negative. It was pretty much flat. It was negative 0.5. Right now this week, coming into showtime, negative 1. So not a heck of a lot of change. On the SKEW front, it has turned slightly negative, but other than that, it's still virtually flat out there. A lot of people waiting for the next shoe to drop out there in the markets. Of course, we have the big inflation number coming tomorrow. Inflation, as we've seen, really drives all things. It is the master of all asset classes these days. So a lot of folks keeping their powder dry ahead of that inflation number tomorrow as well. Let's look at what's going on over there from an OI perspective. By the way, you want to sink your teeth into all these numbers for yourselves. You know where to go. Amberdata.io is the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires out there. You can see all these reports and tons of more content that we don't have time to squeeze into the show here today. If you're on the pro side, if you're on the active retail side, however you're looking at the crypto derivative space, amberdata.io, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires for a whole bunch of data you really maybe didn't even know you needed when you were trading in there, but it's all there in one place, including what's going on from an OI perspective. And kind of treading water out there this week as well. That was actually our title of our show last week, Treading Water. Doing a little bit of that this week as well. The calls, how many calls are open on Deribit right now? 187,000 listeners, up a whopping 1,000. That's pretty much treading water in the case of Bitcoin. The puts ticking up ever so slightly, up to about 80,000. That's up about 4,000 from this time last week. We're still over 2-to-1 calls over puts out there and have been for some time. So that hasn't changed out there. Let's see if anything's changing from a size position perspective. What are the top 5 size positions that are open right now in Bitcoin options on Deribit? Let's find out together. Number 5, listeners, we have the 28,000 strike that has 13,500 contracts open. That's actually down about 500 from this time last week, but still managing to hold on to its spot in the top 5. Number 4, we have the 22,000 strike. That's a newcomer. That has 14,000 contracts open there. Number 3, we're at the 21,000 strike, 14,700 contracts open there. Another newcomer to the top 5, so 2 new additions this week. Number 2, we have the 23,000 strike that has 15,500 contracts open. That's actually down about 1,100 contracts from this time last week. And number 1, the big dog, it is still the 30,000 strike with about 19,500 contracts. You folks continue to pile into that strike. Not a ton, only 1,000 new contracts opening. But still, it remains the top dog. It was towards the end of last year as well. Then, of course, it fell off with all that new repositioning into the new year. But now, back with a vengeance to the top spot, and doesn't seem like it's relinquishing it anytime soon. You folks out there clearly liking yourselves a little bit of 30,000. You like the 30,000 strike, listeners? Again, we're at a 21,500 right now. So 30,000, a bit of a ways to go. If you do like it, are you overriding there? Are you buying? Are you maybe doing some verticals with the second leg on the 30,000 strike? A lot of different ways you can approach it out there. If you are, I'm curious. Hit us up. Let us know what you want to hear from you guys and gals out there. Let's keep on rolling out there to the product a lot of you like to use as your Bitcoin surrogate out there these days in your securities accounts. Of course, talking about Bitto, that one also taking a break this week as well. Down exactly a point. It was 14.5 last week, 13.5 this week. The ADV ticking up again over the course of the week, up to about 74,000. It's up about 3,000 contracts from this time last week. Vol-wise, seeing the same thing. We're hanging out at about a 51. That puts us down, about 7 points from where we were this time last week. So BitOval continuing to erode. Let's see what's going on from a top position perspective. What's open for size out here in BitO options? And you folks love it so much, we'll expand it to a top 10, because why not? And also looking at the top 10, it's interesting to see that we're still seeing mostly calls out there, 6 calls to 4 puts in our top 10. Last week, it was exactly 50-50, so a little bit more call action going up here this week. Number 10, we have 10,000 of the Feb 21 calls. Number 9, 12,000 of the June 10 puts. There's the 10 strike we all knew and loved for a while there, creeping back in. Only one, though, so far, just the June 10s. Number 8, 12,000 as well of the Feb 15 calls. Those are going out this week, so good luck to you there. You got about 1.5 points to go. Number 7, 13,300 of the Jan 25s. Number 6, about 14,000, almost 13,700 to be precise, of the March 9 puts. Number 5, also almost 14,000 of the June 20 calls. Number 4, we've got 16,500 of the June 5 puts. Number 3, also 16,500 of the March 14s. Number 2, 24,000 of the Jan 15s. And number 1, still with a bullet, same one as last week, about 25,000 of the June 8 puts. We looked into these in the past. What's been going on out there? It seems like those are overwritten. So intriguing stuff out there. These are June end of month, I should say, not the traditional monthlies. Intriguing stuff here. 8 puts and 10 puts in June, 9 puts in March, 5 puts in June. And then the rest all calls all the time as we keep on rolling, listeners, to explore what's popping off in the altcoin universe.
It's time to move beyond Bitcoin and find out what's moving the rest of the crypto marketplace. It's time to boldly venture into the altcoin universe.
All right, everybody, welcome to the altcoin universe, the portion of the show where we explore everything outside of the big dog, which is Bitcoin, except for right now when we're talking about the market cap top 10 here, listeners. There'll be some action in here. We'll break it down right now. Number 10, we got Polygon holding down the number 10 spot this week with about 10.2 billion. Again, that's up about a couple of billion from what we saw breaking into the top 10 about a month or so ago. It was only about 8 billion. So seeing it back north of 10, always interesting, even though, again, can we maintain that? We shall see with Bitcoin. Trending lower usually brings down the rest of the crypto marketplace with it. Number 9, I got our old friend Doge, 10.8 billion worth of market cap. Number 8, Cardano, 12.2. The number 7, interesting one, Binance USD. It's been hanging out at number 7 spot for quite some time. Almost 16 billion worth of market cap, about 15.8. That may be changing, though. The SEC announcing this morning that they are suing the issuer of good old Binance USD. Similar issues to what we saw lingering over XRP and Ripple, which is, they say, effectively, this is a security. And so they're suing to stop issuance of new Binance USD tokens. Also, an investigation coming out of the New York Department of Financial Services as well. So double-pronged attack here on Binance USD from the regulators. We all know, if you look at the track record with XRP, they're still dealing with that issue many years later. So hopefully for fans of Binance USD out there, we can get some sort of resolution to this in some sort of timely aspect. But either way, these kind of things, they do tend to take forever. So probably not the best news here for your Binance USD folks. Nonetheless, it's still managing to tick up a little bit slightly on the day. So interesting. You wouldn't think that would be the best of news, given, again, what played out with the name right above it in the top 10 XRP. But apparently folks are going to play the wait and see game. Always rational, always reasonable out there. XRP number 6, 18.8 billion. Number 5, USD coin, almost 41 billion. Number 4, good old BNB, 45.6 billion. Number 3, Tether, 68.5 billion. Number 2, it's ETH, 182.6 billion. And the big dog, which is Bitcoin, 417.8 billion this week. Let's get on out to the number 2 out there. Number 1, a lot of your hearts. That is ETH, also looking a little bit lighter this week. It was almost 1650 on our last show, 1645 coming in to start today's show, 1489. That puts it down about 155 handles on the week. We got a little bit higher after our show last week on Tuesday, just like Bitcoin. It topped out at about 1687, and the low once again coming today, 1473. So ETH moving pretty much in lockstep here with Bitcoin this week. Also seeing the vol continue to come in a little bit. It was not much, though. It was 64.8 on our last show, about 63 and a quarter coming into the start of this show. So coming in a little over 1.5 points. Not a huge move out there, and still fairly frothy given what's going on out there in ETH land. We all know ETH usually structurally more volatile than Bitcoin. It maintains that this week and also has a tendency to pop. So we'll see if this thing can get moving again or if it's going to languish around these levels for a while. In terms of SKEW, we had on the last show, we had about a -4. Guess what it is this week, listeners? -4 again. Still hanging out at the old -4 level. So no change from a SKEW perspective, even though we did drift lower this week. Let's see what's going on from an OI perspective out there on Deribit, listeners. And the calls, about 2.4 million of those open. Now it's up about 30,000. Not a huge change there. The put's getting a little bit more life this week. Put 762,000. That's up about 72,000 on the week. So looking pretty good out there. We're inside that 4-to-1 calls over puts now. So that's a little bit more respectable. It's still about 3-to-1, close to it. But it's not quite the 4-to-1 it was out there recently. Let's look at the size position, see what's going up out there. What are you folks trading? What are the size ETH options positions this week? Number 5, we have the 2,000 strike. Remember I said coming into the start of the show, we were at a 1489. So we're looking at the 2,000 strike. Again, the ETH OI has always been, I think you could fairly call it more optimistic maybe even than Bitcoin. We see a lot of strikes that are far out of the money continuing to maintain some market share and indeed mind share, where we saw a lot of that fall off with Bitcoin at the end of last year. But it persists here in ETH. Number 5, we have the 2,000 strike, 163,000. That's actually down 3,000 from this time last week. And 2,000 strike isn't really that optimistic. We have more to come. Number 4, the 3,500 strike, jumping up quite a bit. That has 177,000 contracts open. That's up 4,000 from this time last week. Number 3, the 1,600 strike, right back down to it. 216,000 contracts, up about 10,000 from this time last week. Number 2, the 1,800 strike. So a little bit farther out of the money there, going up 235,000 contracts. That's actually down 4,000 contracts this week. So 235,000 contracts open on the strike, down 4,000 from this time last week. And number 1, the big dog, remains pretty much unched from this time last week. It is the 4,000 strike, has 242,500 contracts open. Doesn't seem like it's going anywhere anytime soon. Just hanging out. Again, we saw a lot of the 3,000s were open coming into the end of last year. Most of those went the way of the dodo. They haven't really amassed enough OI to make it back into our top 5 yet, but the 4,000 strike hasn't really gone anywhere. Part of that is it's just such a far out of the money strike. I don't think anyone really had much incentive to do much with it. There wasn't much premium to be had to get rid of them. Also, clearly, they were obviously longer term positioning than the 3,000s. A lot of the 3,000s expired in December. So intriguing stuff. But for whatever reason, we have a lot of still vestigial 4,000 paper left over there. And it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's not changing. They're not adding to it. It's just kind of hanging out. And it's still enough to dominate the tape out there in ETH options land. Speaking of the tape in ETH options, and I got so caught up in all the madness with good old Binance USD. I forgot to talk about the CME volume, so we'll do them both now. We'll start out there on the Bitcoin options. By the way, if you want to check this data, CMEgroup.com/TWIFO, TWIFO is the place to go. That is the report we generate every week over there with the folks at CME for our show that we do every week called This Week in Futures Options, which if you're not listening to the full network, A, you should be, and B, you should definitely be listening to TWIFO if you're listening to this show, because that's the only other show on the network where we really get into crypto in any great capacity there. And you can see as part of those reports, which you get for free, you can scroll down to the cryptocurrency section. You can see exactly what's going on with the large multiplier contracts over there, as well as, of course, the micro size, a little bit more bite size for you folks. We'll start with the big Bitcoin options, doing a whopping 12 contracts today. So today, not lighting the world on fire, but again, that is your 5X contract. Last week, doing a lot more paper, almost 1,300 contracts. So starting to percolate a little bit out there. The big dog last week was the 32,000 call in March. Interesting. Doing about 100 contracts last week. That was actually, I take it back. It was the 17,000 puts at 108. They took the top spot. Those were in June. So we have 108 of the June 17,000 puts, followed by 100 of the March 32,000 calls. Talk about two different ends of the spectrum entirely. Interesting stuff. Also, 19,000 puts expiring in February in a couple of weeks. Those went up about 100 times as well. So a lot of action kind of all over the place, which is always fun to see. Let's get on out to the micro size stuff, see if we saw anything interesting in the micro Bitcoin last week. And the answer is some, but not a heck of a lot. 535 contracts on the tape last week. So still a bit mystifying to me why the big 5x multiplier contract is doing far more than the smaller one. Such as it is, the little one, the big dog out there, was the March 23,500 call, doing 150 contracts, followed by the April 25,000 calls. Let's see if this week, if it's picking it up at all. I'm going to guess not really a very active week, at least so far. And you got 14 going up out here today. Let's go to the micro ether, see if anything lighting it up out there. And today so far, you got about 112 hitting the tape. So that's respectable for the first day of the week. The 1,400 puts seem like they're lighting it up. Last week, we had 626. The big dog, such as it was the 5,000 call in June. I think we talked about these last week, going up 250 times. Bit of a weird one out there. Let's check in on the big dog ETH contract. Remember, this is kind of a ridiculous multiplier. I think it's 50 ETH. We saw about 300 going up last week. The big dog for those was the 15.5 put, going up 94 times. And again, so far this week, 36, not a ton. The big dog this week, the 1,500 puts in February. So there you go. That's what's going up out there on CME. Let's keep the party rolling, going out to some of the other products out there. We got Solana taking a bit of a break from its rally over the past month and change. Remember, it got down below $10 in all the wake of the FTX debacle. We actually took it off of our rotation here on the show because there were a lot of legitimate questions about what was going on out there in the Solana ecosystem. It seemed like you folks have liked it, though. You rallied it all the way up to, it was about 23.30 on our show last week. Giving some of that back this week, down to about 20.46, down almost 2.9, about 2.84 handles on the week. So Solana giving quite a bit back out there. XRP, again, we talked about what's going on with Binance USD. That's been going on in XRP for quite some time. Giving some back this week as well. It's about 40 cents last week, 37 cents this week. So down about 3 cents on the week. Good old Doge, 9.1 cents last week, 8.1 cents this week. So giving up a penny out there. Litecoin, 97.80 last week, 80, pretty much $90 exactly. So down about 7.80 from where it was this time last week. So Litecoin's been moving quite a bit, and this week it is to the downside. Cardano, really quickly, 39.2 cents last week, 35.4. So down about 3.8 cents on the week. Polkadot taking a break as well, 6.68 last week, 6.01 this week. So down a whopping 67 cents. And they're coming for Shiba this week as well. It was a 0.000014 last week. This week, 0.000012.
You've got questions about crypto. Who doesn't? It's time to find out the answers to your crypto questions.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Crypto Questions. And our question last week, listeners, was actually inspired by this program. We put out a question to our full audience. You guys can play along with all of our questions of the week. The place to go is @options on Twitter. That's where all of our questions of the week live. If you don't see it pinned there or somewhere near the top, just scroll around. You'll find it. We try to retweet them throughout the week so you folks have an easy time finding them and playing along in all of our polls. Well, last week, a very crypto-centric question of the week just expired, so I'll reveal the results for you here today. We asked you last week if you had to buy a 10% out of the money call expiring at the end of the year in one of the following crypto assets, which one would you pick? Said Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, or gave you an out for the non-crypto fans out there. Maybe some of you just kind of sitting on your hands for a little bit. We said, I'm done with crypto. And as the poll expired, listeners, that one actually won with exactly a third, 33.3% of you saying you're done with crypto, at least for right now. Number two, this one was in the lead for most of the poll, kind of surrendered right towards the end. This was Bitcoin with exactly 30% of the poll, followed by ETH at 20%, then Solana bringing up the rear at 16.7%. So perhaps not the news that some of the listeners of this program would have wanted. I know Mr. Bill won't like those results. He's all in on everything crypto these days. But at least for now, it seems like about a third of our audience saying they're washing their hands of crypto. All right, listeners, that is going to do it. Do you agree, disagree with the results of that poll? Make your voice heard over there at Options is the place to go throughout the week to express your views on all sorts of fun. We're asking this. We have a fun one this week, actually, kind of a silly one, inspired by the quote-unquote Super Bowl indicator. You know, there's an indicator for everything. And around Super Bowl season, there's a Super Bowl indicator that says if the AFC wins, which, of course, in this case would be the Chiefs, it doesn't bode well for the market for the rest of the year. Are you buying this? Yes or no? Right now, we just went live a little while ago, listeners, and it's exactly 50-50. So our audience is split on if they believe the Super Bowl indicator. Are you a believer? Are you a naysayer? At Options is the place to go to make your voice heard. Of course, theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to get access to all the great pro content we do throughout the week here. And of course, you want to get your hands on the data, amberdata.io, amberdata.io is the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. We have to get on out of here. That will conclude our broadcast day for today. Listeners, coming back at you on the pro side tomorrow with Jim Carroll. Who's going to be answering a lot of your questions about all things volatility. So stay tuned for that. That should be a fun one. If you have questions about all things volume, maybe we can drag them into a little bit of crypto waters as well. That should be fun. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go to participate in all of that fun, along with the rest of our content we have coming at you throughout the rest of the week. So if you're just listening to the Crypto Rundown, make sure you upgrade to our full network on whatever device or platform you're listening to our content on. Just go to the Options Insider Radio Network, subscribe to that, and you'll get access to all the other shows that we do here in terms of the on-demand side. And then, of course, you want to upgrade theoptionsinsider.com/pro for the additional exclusive pro content. That'll get you all the way back here to next week. Another great episode of the Crypto Rundown. Stay safe out there, everybody.
The Crypto Rundown is brought to you by Amber Data. If you're entering the digital asset class, you'll need access to granular on-chain and market data from multiple venues to power research, trading, risk management, and compliance. Amber Data delivers comprehensive data and insights into blockchain networks, crypto markets, and decentralized finance, empowering financial institutions to apply traditional finance methods to digital assets. Amber Data eliminates the infrastructure setup, integration challenges, and maintenance headaches to access digital asset data, reducing cost and time to market to enter the digital asset class. Learn more and download their digital asset data guide at www.amberdata.io. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.